And if we reflect, what is the difference, for example, between us and the early Muslims? The Prophet ﷺ invested a lot of effort, actually, in the companions, in this element of the tarbiyah and the purification. And that is why when he left, and he left this great message that we all have in front of us, he left a great generation. The greatest generation actually that carried their message and spread it on the land and moved humanity from darkness to light. That's not because just the book, but because of the level of purity and righteousness they achieved by starting with the right thing, which is the tarbiyat and the purification of the heart. And when the person become a believer, the Prophet ﷺ would commit to teach him the tarbiyah first, the morals first. And then he will always ask, and then education, and he always tell the companion to do this to them. And when Umayr ibn Wahb became a Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ told the companion, فَقِّهُوا أَخَاكُمْ فِي دِينِهِ وَاقْرَؤُوهُ الْقُرْآنِ. Make him learn the manner of the religion, and then let him read the Quran. And in the past, actually, the teacher, the term teacher was always called al-murabbi. Wasn't muallim, was a murabbi. And Ibn al-Mubarak said, we learned the tarbiyah in 30 years, and we learned the knowledge in 20 years. So the tarbiyah is a continuing process for the individual to be able to take advantage of the knowledge. And Ibn Sirin said, we used to learn guidance first before we learn knowledge. And Ibn al-Hasan said, we are more in need of the tarbiyah more than of hadith. As I said, during Ramadan 2006, I was giving a talk during the Taraweeh. And then Brother Nasim was sitting, he used to sit in a chair in the first row, and he asked me if I can give him the microphone. He wants to say something. So, and I said, although this have happened 2 years ago, I still remember what he said. And that is because he was now knowing what his background, this person was the most humble person I ever saw in my life. And therefore, and he is the most sincere, and that's why he have this impact in people. When he said, and he said this hadith, he said, as a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ was praying one time, and when he did the ruku' and stand from the ruku' and he said, Sami Allahu liman hamida, then he heard the person saying, Rabbana wa laka alhamd hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fi. So after the Prophet finished from the prayer, he looked and he said, who said this? And nobody answered. Who said this? And obviously, it's, if people at this time, whoever said it, was a little bit concerned, I must have said something, that in these days we can say, oh, he's bid'ah, he committed a bid'ah, because he was adding something to the prayer that the Prophet ﷺ didn't say. And then when the man at the end, he said, yeah, I did it, Prophet of Allah, and I didn't, and he said, I didn't mean except good, he was apologetic about it. And the Prophet ﷺ said, that 12 angels was trying to run to write it and didn't know how to put it in. So they ran with it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asked him, how we write it? He said, just write it the way it is, as he wrote it, and a reward for it when he comes. So, and that was the only. Now, after this, and you can imagine a lot of time when people, you ask, want to speak, he said the hadith, he handed me the microphone and sat down. He was very concise of what he want. He didn't elaborate on it. Sometimes you say the hadith and you spend 2 hours, 15 trying to explain it as if it wasn't clear enough. But he really illustrated the manners of tarbiyah by example. The honesty in the sense he told me, can I speak? And I took him the microphone and he handed it to me directly. The sincerity of the way he spoke, the conciseness, the way we has, and the humbleness. Here I am, I'm nobody related to him, and he was asking me permission, to give him the microphone to speak. So, and As I said, he is a true example of tarbiyah. He was a humble, sincere, respectable, and concise. So the best to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is only illuminated if we recognize the central place of Allah to us. And I truly believe that Imam Nasim knew where Allah and the Prophet is placed in his life. And because the Prophet ﷺ said that if someone wants to know what position he enjoys in the eye of Allah, then that person have to look to what place Allah is in his heart. Where is Allah? That's where you are going to be. If Allah close to you, you will be close to Allah. And the need actually to succeed and personal growth, as I said, start with the preparation of the heart and teaching moral and honesty, sincerity and humbleness. And that's what he have manifested in front of us. Only through knowledge can impact the individual and society. If you do not have the tarbiyah, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, will have no impact. And, the Imam Sufyan al-Thawri, and he was a great, Imam and scholar, his mother taught him the best example of the tarbiyah. She told him, to Imam Sufyan al-Thawri, he said, take these 10 dinars and learn 10 hadith. If you find them, after you learn them, if you find them, change the way you sit, the way you walk, the way you speak to the people, then come back to me, I'll give you another 10 dinars so you can learn more. And she said, my concern is that if you acquire knowledge and basically you do not act and do not use it, it is going to be a curse on you on the day of judgment. And that's why I said, Imam Nasim actually understood this. And I don't think we understand it even in our school, that you don't start with knowledge, you start with the tarbiyah and the morality and the principles before you do this. And as we reflect on Imam Nasim's legacy and what he have achieved during his short period in this earth, we cannot but learn from how much he loved for the Prophet ﷺ, because every occasion he used to quote, a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, and we have to learn from him this. And then we quote at this occasion from also the Prophet. We only have to say to Allah belongs what he has taken, and to him belongs what he has given, for everything has set term. And in every occasion, in this occasion, I would like to make a supplication that the Prophet ﷺ have made. I'll make it in English and then I'll read it in Arabic. O Allah, forgive Imam Nasim, have mercy on him, pardon him, heal him, be generous to him, cause his entrance to be wide and comfortable, wash him with the most pure and clean water, purify him from sins as white garment is washed from and become clean. Give him in exchange a home is better than his home on earth, and family better than his family, and protect him from the trial of the grave and the torture of the hellfire. Allahumma aghfir lahu warhamh, wa'afihi wa'fu anhu, wakrim nuzulahu wa wassi' madkhalah, واغسله بالماء والثلج والبرد ونقه من الخطايا كما نقيت الثوب الأبيض من الدنس وأبدله دارا خير من داره وأهلا خير من أهله وأدخله الجنة وأعوذه من العذاب القبر وعذاب النار. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.